Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. It's where I talk about various things whilst driving and shouting at people when I drive. I also swear profusely, so if you don't want to hear me swearing, I suggest you turn it over or just stop immediately, because I will be swearing right from now. Fuck. Right, the topic for today is, there is also a disclaimer because I talk about sensitive topics. I don't stick to one topic because everything sort of melds into each other, so it might start on something like kittens and end up on, suicide or something. So if you don't want to hear that, you might want to change it again. Now, here's a second chance. Right, the topic for today is gratitude. I found that today a lot of people aren't grateful for what they've got. There's always this push for getting more and that promotes greed and things like that. So I'm being mindful these days of what I have. If you've ever gone through horrible experiences where you've lost everything, and a lot of people have, because it is part of life, you can't really avoid it. You're bound to lose something at some point. It's a learning experience for developing a sense of gratitude towards what you do have. I mean, even the Americans have a whole holiday called Thanksgiving that's based on feeling grateful for something. We're giving a thanks. Is it gratitude based, or are you just like getting fat and drunk? I don't know. That's why we have Christmas. So, it is an eye-opening experience to lose everything out the arse with your life, because you start to reevaluate what's actually valuable to you. I've been looking at a lot of things where people have like near-death experiences and suddenly they've reconfigured their entire existence because I wasn't prioritizing the right things. Or they weren't, rather. I've had near-death experiences. It does make you think again. You do become honed in on what's actually valuable, and you do waste a lot of your time on a daily basis just thinking about shit that doesn't fucking matter. My ex-husband, for example, had I think it was metaphor, really, or just, trying to give scope to sequence about, the events in life where he would say you are, a blip, like a grain of sand on an earth, and if you just zoom out you'll see how insignificant you are. And he used to love doing things like watching space documentaries and things like that, the David Attenborough series, and it would give him some kind of insight into how insignificant humans really are. We get so caught up in our day-to-day bullshit. We're all the hero in our own story because we've only got that first person perspective, really. We know what we're feeling and thinking on the inside, but realistically, we can't judge what other people are. Well, I don't say don't judge, because you can tell from their actions what they're about. We can't really gauge, without being able to look at people from the inside as a third person, really, what they're thinking, what incentivizes their actions and things like that. So I won't say don't judge, because I've already done a podcast on judging, and I'm totally for judging, because that's how you keep safe and how you gauge your experiences. It's not bad as well. There are some forms of judgment which are good as well. Praise is a form of judgment. So if someone compliments you, that's a form of judgment. So if anyone says, I don't judge, tell them to fuck off, because everyone does. It's ridiculous to not judge. You're human. Human error exists because of judgment. It's an allowance. It gives you a sort of God's grace for getting things wrong. I don't judge. That's a load of shit. Who says that? I don't judge. Yeah, you do. You just don't verbalize it, you prat. And even if you do, it's probably in a room alone when nobody's listening. Everybody judges. Don't be stupid. And you could say we're not supposed to judge, but that's a lie too. You're allowed to judge. Go nuts. Be judgy judgerton. It just keeps you safe. It's you can't avoid it. Everything in the human existence is based on interpreting. Oh my god, my voice is gone already today. Making sense of. Let's go there. Making sense of our experiences. So of course you're constantly in a sense of judgment. So fucking tell that person to wank off and just get on with your life. There's no point taking it that seriously. It sounds pretentious as well when somebody says I don't judge. It's like, what are you, holier than thou? I don't get that. Everybody judges. We're all human. Stupid assholes. Anyway, I've had 5 coffees today. I'm just going for it. where was I going? Gratitude. Okay, we got to be grateful for what we got, because in an instant you could lose it all. Absolutely. I mean, I know I keep harking back to my experiences when I got divorced and separated, where everything dropped out the arse. But you do sorry, my stutter. You do tend to develop a sense of value in things that you didn't normally. Like, for example, I was living in a house that was renovated. I was renovating my dead granddad's house at the time. The hot water system, for example, something as simple as having decent hot water. The system was a solar one, it was broken, it was 1 billion years old, and I was having icy showers in the middle of winter, and it was like, fuck this. So when I got my next apartment, I'm like, thank God I've got, hot water, just basic shit like that. You learn to adapt. I mean, it's not a need to have hot water. It's a want, because you can still get clean and wash and things like that with cold water. It's just an entirely unpleasant experience. But when you get that little luxury of having it heated for you, not having to heat the water yourself with boiling pans and shit like that, it is a blessing. And you go, I fucking love this. Thank you, universe. Thank you for giving me hot water, because it's intensely painful. And I've got like sensory issues as well, so I don't just feel cold, I feel freezing. Slight breezes in spring, I was crippling over, it's like, I feel like shit, stop this breeze. I still get angry at wind because it's too windy, it's like people are like, this breeze is lovely. I'm like, fuck you, wind. I'm done over here. It's too much. I mean, there's upsides and downsides to having sensory issues. It's like when we feel something good physically, it's like really good, but bad stuff like cold breezes or freezing stuff, it's like, I'm dying. It's weird. Everything's sort of heightened. But you take the swings and roundabouts. You take the good with the bad, don't you? What else is it? Gratitude. I mean, as a grown-up, you get to make choices. I say grown-up, it's a relative term. No one ever really achieves grown-up status. We just get older and bigger and mostly fatter. So, you get to make your own choices and stuff. If you grew up in a poverty cycle shit family like I did, to sum it up, if you listen to the other podcasts, you'd understand what went on there. You learn to appreciate things you have choice in. Like, I never had choice growing up. I was told what I was, who I was, what I was going to do, and I didn't have a choice in any real decision making. It was a very controlled situation, not in a good way either. It was controlled to be the receiver of basically abuse. My parents were big on, what are you doing, dickhead? Fucking cranes. We were just conditioned to take the hit and move on, sort of thing. It wasn't a case of we would lovingly guide you into your adulthood or your teens, at least. It was a case of you will do what we want you to do, and you'll do it by compliance and control mechanisms, and most of those are violent, if not psychologically and emotionally abusive. Welcome to adulthood. It's like, having said that, as an adult, no one does that to me. So I'm like, I don't know how we got here. If my childhood and teens were meant to reflect what the adult world would be, it's a totally different bag of fish. It's like, what the fuck? If you do what my parents did to me as an adult to someone to get them compliant and doing something at work or something, you get done for assault. It just wasn't reflective. It was weird. You're supposed to, get kids used to what's coming, but what was coming wasn't exactly that. Although, having said that, the toughness my parents put in me, I say my parents, I put my mum in, the toughness my mum cultivated, the physical toughness, mental, psychological stuff, it did help me because it was the more evil of the situation. Whereas anything that came after that was a lesser evil that you go, oh, that was shit, and you just walk over it and you keep going. So I'm grateful for those life lessons. For example, when I got assaulted in 2008, there was a guy, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, we went for a wander in suburbia, of all places, thinking it was safe. And I got attacked by a guy, basically. He tried to, punch me and drag me to the ground, sort of thing. It's all police documented and stuff like that, so that was a fun experience in my early 20s. But the thing that came out of that was, first of all, I was shocked that it was a boy hitting a girl, because I wasn't raised that way. Girls don't get hit by boys, but at the same time, girls don't hit boys, right? The second thing I got was Jesus Christ, these cranes just do not want to get in their own lane. Oh, that sounded bad. The second thing was, my mum hit harder than him. Weirdly. It was like, this was a guy hitting a girl, and it hit like a bitch. I'm sitting going, what the fuck is going on? This is meant to hurt more. You're male. I can't figure this out, right? And it blew my mind. It's like, I'm shocked more that it's a guy hitting a girl and less that it's physically painful, because my mum used to smack the fuck out of us. She wasn't just parenting, she wasn't just smacking, she was beating. So I'm grateful for that in a weird way, that I know I can take a hit from a woman who was, twice my size, width, weight. And I used it later on when a guy hit me, and he was about my size and weight. I'm going, this is weird. So I added an element of humor to the situation. I'm going, it's that weird taking a bigger evil on first and then dealing with the smaller evils afterwards. That just it puts perspective on it as well. I just couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there going, this should hurt more, shouldn't it? Because you're hitting me right in the face. So it was a really weird experience. And we laugh it off now. I mean, violence in any capacity isn't really acceptable. We should be finding more, I say civilized, conscious awareness ways of dealing with things, rather than just relating to unpleasant scenarios with violence and hitting and primal instincts. It's like, I didn't like this, so I whacked it. It's like, what are you, a monkey? I didn't like it, so I hit it with a stick. It's like, well, I can't just solve my problems that way. It would be great if I could. Although we would all be hitting each other with sticks and throwing poo, so it's not really going to fix the problem, is it? We're all just covered in shit and with bruises. So it's like, you see why I don't like these fucking conflict situations? Like, this doesn't fix the problem. Everyone's smeared with shit and we're all hurt. Are we still angry? Yes, and now we're angrier. So now I smell. It's stupid conflict situations don't make sense. Don't get me started about wars. Just what's going on right now in the world. I'm just like, I don't want to get involved anymore. I stuck up for Ukraine, and now I'm looking at everyone else going, how is this not fixed? It's been forever. It's getting me the shits. Anyway, it sounds a bit up my own ass, doesn't it? It's like, shouldn't you just like fix it? Because I'm like a middle class white girl saying, this is bad, we should just fix it. It's not as simple as that, is it? No, I know that much. I'm sitting there going, but yeah, I'm just getting pissed off. I'm not picking a side anymore. I'm just looking at it going, fuck it. Because inevitably what it is, and I'm talking specifically about the Gaza Strip conflict right now. This has been going on for the minimum 75 years, minimum. If you're looking at the biblical text, it's been going on for fucking eons. It says even in the Bible, if you look at the Judeo-Christian side of things, the Gaza Strip will never know peace. That's in the Bible. I don't know what the Torah and all that's got. It's probably got something equivalent, right? There seems to be a continued theme for this one particular area. But at the same time, can't we fucking? And it's like, you look at what's happening with Jerusalem as well. You got people who, for a time period there, in that area, they coexisted and it wasn't a problem. Everyone had their own set of beliefs and they were just sort of go on with it. It might have been some tension, but people in general, regardless of belief system, nationality, ethnicity, they're fucking irritating. It's like, regardless of wherever you come from, some element of you as a human being is going to be fucking irritating. And you've just got to deal with it because you're going to coexist in this fucking environment, right? And it worked for a while. I don't know what the situation is now because I haven't researched it, honestly. I've got other things I need to be doing. This has only piqued my interest because, of course, it's a conflict situation. It's all over the fucking news. So the media is going, this is a problem. I'm going, well, no shit. It's been happening for 75 years. Are we going to fix it this time? I mean, have you ever seen that? Dude, go. I got a fucking Mercedes in front of me. Doesn't know what he's doing. Oh, he's like 1 billion years old. That's why. Okay. But 75 years of this conflict, and it flares up every now and again. It's not a case of it's gone away for 20 years. It's constant. It's picking on each other. It's like at this point, it seems Palestine is the bad side because, Hamas. But I don't think Hamas represents Palestine. I think they're doing, again, what the Taliban did. They're doing their own thing. They're just looking for a flag to fight under because they want to fight. It doesn't matter who they fight for. And of course, their tactics are very how do I put this, Putin in effect. They're copying essentially what Putin's done in Ukraine, taking hostages and raping women and stuff like that. His people are fucked up as well. Again, another bunch of people who just needed a vehicle to commit evils. It doesn't reflect, say, the Russian people. Russian people are like, oh, we don't agree to this either, but, you know, we live in fear of a dictator, so we're not going to say shit. Much like China. We are afraid. Yeah, there's a lot of that. But, you know, it's a situation where it's been 75 years. It keeps flaring up. This time it's, you know, Hamas is the bad guys. But before that, who was the bad guys? It's like, it's just picking fights constantly. Tit for tat bullshit. You ever watch that cartoon where it's like Daffy Duck or something, where one pulls out a gun and in retaliation the other one pulls out another gun and it's bigger, and they just keep going one for one, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually they just blow themselves up. And it's just stupid shit like that, whereas adults, you should be able to find a way with any sense of maturity and willingness to build a future for your children, which you are currently wiping out with your bombs and missiles and shit like that. He's like, there's going to be no one left. It's just going to be desolate land, and some rich dude from a fucking country who's out of the way, who didn't get involved, is just going to take your land and develop it for fucking condos or fucking tourism or some shit like that. That's what it's going to be. I swear it's some kind of they're just waiting for whoever loses. Or both of them are going to lose, to be honest, because you're just going to lose people. Eventually there's going to be no people to fight because you killed them all. There's going to be no kids left over to fill the next generation. You know, there's just going to be no one. Everyone's either being evacuated or held hostage or murdered or bombed or some shit like that. And the only thing that'll be left over is a shitload of rubble. And no one wins. Even if someone does survive, there's only like rubble infrastructure. There's no resources left. You've left a scorched earth policy. So whatever you're taking is just nothing. I mean, it's perfect if you're a land developer, because somebody is just going to take that land and convert it into the next Cabo or whatever it is in Mexico, you know? Tourist houses for rich people. Which is ridiculous. It's stupid. They're not seeing the bigger picture of things, I don't think. To be honest, I'm trying to think what nations have the money. They're not being grateful for the fact that they've got a land that they should be sharing equally. Not that they should be hoarding it. They're saying, one side's saying it's historically theirs. I'm sitting there going, first of all, no one owns the land. No one owns it because it's been traded and fought over and blown up and rebuilt that many times. That no one owns anything. No one is in their original fucking location. So I don't know why you're complaining. It's like from a certain time period, maybe you lived here for a while. Humans are nomadic. No one owns any land. No one is anywhere. And we change according to, you know, like cycles of, you know, weather and all kinds of things like that. Nobody sticks to where they came from. That's why we've got so many interbred genetic forms, you know, like in the end I honestly think people are worried about racism. I think it's just going to die out because everybody's breeding with everyone. It's not a case of we've got specifically this particular form of ethnicity anymore. You can backtrack people's genetic lines and they're all intermixed with everyone else. It's like I've got 2% this and 10% that, and it just doesn't make sense anymore. Nobody's stuck to the region they're meant to, if that is meant to be happening. So anyone claiming to have historical ties to the land, it's relative, to be honest. You had it for a time. That time passed. Now we all share. Okay, this is what we're doing. You're borrowing, to be honest. And to be honest, they do say you're borrowing from future generations. So if you're blowing up your own future generations, you're doing a bad job at some kind of, you know, guardianship of the area. They say we're fighting for a cause. Both sides are saying we're fighting for a cause, we're fighting for a home, we're fighting for our kids. But inadvertently, you're fighting other people's kids. You're fighting for other people's shit. It's like, it just seems a lot of greed to me, and I get pissed off because it feels immature. And I've used the analogy before, it's like it's kids fighting in a sandpit. And all it is a bully has pegged two smaller kids to fight. It's like a bum fight, basically. And whoever loses, you know, both of them are going to lose because they're both injured. They're both going to eat sand. But the bully comes in at the end and just takes everything. Because, you know, it's pitting people against each other. I can't stand it. It doesn't make sense. They're meant to be forming alliances and respecting each other's differences. And it's the alliances that enriches the land, that enriches the cultures. It's the against and othering that creates the problems. It's conflict theory. I don't like... It seems counterintuitive. Everybody dies, everybody gets injured, everybody loses their shit. It doesn't make sense. It's tit for tat immaturity. Which is why this time I'm not fucking picking a side, because they've been doing it for at least 75 years, if not fucking eons. Same area, same people. It's like, God, just stop. I get fed up. This time around, we know who the supposed villain is, but before that, who was the villain before that? It's political shit gives me the shits. It really does. If you look at it as people, from the inside, on a soul level, you're all fucking idiots. It's like, I want to believe that you're fighting for a good, but your good is just really ego-based and unfounded. It's arrogance. It's human arrogance at its finest. And that's all war is. It's people with puffed up egos saying, I'm right, and I'm going to kill people to prove it. It's like, it doesn't make sense. You're not right. You're still killing. It's still murder. It's still, you know, it doesn't make sense. It can't justify it by saying, if I shout louder, I'm righter. You know, it doesn't make sense. It's insane. Everybody dies. Everybody loses their shit. It's ground zero again. It doesn't make sense, you know? I was like, I don't know. It is puffed up ego, though. Yeah, male-based. No, I'm not even going into that sex-specific discussion. Bloody men. Women in the background saying, well, we sent them off to war because, fuck it, we're not stupid. They'll do it. They're the hamsters of this, the guinea pigs of this situation. You got the puffed up ego, you go do it. Did we create a problem there? I don't know. I don't know. That's a question, though. We're talking about masculinity and stuff like that. Is it a case of the nature of man is to be aggressive? Or is it something they've been fed and so they will go do it? Is the nature of women to be, you know, nurturing? Or is it we've been told that we are? And I think it's both, to be honest. We do have the hormonal chemical disposition, but at the same time it's reinforced by what's around us. I mean, for example, you've got warrior women tribes, the Amazons and things like that. Well, I don't know if they were nurturing mother-like figures, but I tell you what, they could probably kick your ass. Irish women, for example, Viking Irish women. Mums, yes, they were queens, they ruled the roost, they were the leaders of the community. You came out of her, she had say over what you did with your life. But in terms of nurturing sides, the soft, fluffy side of things, I don't know. Especially in an environment where you had to be tough. And you had men trying to start some shit and you had to sit that shit down. You know, it's a case of not so much rule by brutality as the male seems to be. If we want something, we take it by force. It doesn't seem to work that way. I was hoping that maybe it would be some kind of rule by authority because, you know, we care. Not because we can do it, it would make you do it by force, you know? I'd like to believe it was more of a case of that. There was respect for women at the time as well, and Celt culture. It wasn't a case of, I'm afraid of these people, so I have to. It was a case of, we came from them, these women. We were nurtured by and grown by these women. They provided for us as mothers. And so we respect them now as women as they age. That's what I came from. I came from a matriarch. I didn't come from a patriarch. I wasn't raised to be in a patriarch shit, which is why I don't reduce women to the biological functions only. I sit there and I think, as a human being, we can do all these kinds of things. It doesn't matter if we're a male or female in gender sense. Gender doesn't exist. I was given a very gender upbringing. We did everything. We didn't just do the pink girl Barbie shit. In fact, my mum frowned on that shit because it was reductive. It reduced your ability to think outside the box. If you were one of these girly girls, it was a failing. Not because it wasn't valued, but because it was the only thing you were allowed to do. You know, it's like my mum wanted us to do all of it, and you will do all of it, and you'll find a fucking good way to do it efficiently. But the girly girls that I can't do it because I'm a girl. It's like, she was like, no, fuck off. You're going to do it. Get on with it. So, you know, it wasn't an option for us growing up, me and my sisters. Which is why my sister runs a fucking farm down in, you know, like, not Donnybrook, where is it? Somewhere, Bridgetown. Which is, you know, she's really good at it too. And I think it surprised her husband because he was used to the dumb bitch girls that don't want to work. Whereas my sister gets in more than he does, and he's pretty good with his hands as well. The skills we learn growing up, and I know I'm going on a tangent here because I've just gone from like 3 different topics there, is the gratitude, the ongoing theme. You need to learn gratitude for the experiences you're given, the environment you're given, because you're constantly learning. There is no way around it. You're going to constantly learn. You might as well be grateful for what you're being shown. Even the shit experiences are going to show you, first of all, how well you can adapt to circumstances. If you fail, you're still learning. There's no bad side to that. It might hurt physically, but aren't you grateful that you're alive enough to feel that? I mean, it's like when I have my, you know, like our separation and stuff like that, and my people around me were saying, just medicate. It will get rid of the depression. It will make you, I didn't feel the depression, to be honest. I felt anger, and I couldn't sleep and stuff like that, but they were saying the easy way out of this is just to medicate. Don't feel. Don't let the shit get to you. Just keep functioning, even if you're like in zombie state. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't like the chemical stimulation side of things. If I do medicate this or treat this, I want to do it through behavior cognitive way of doing this, because that's what I'm trained in, because I've got a psych degree, because I'm a fucking idiot and I love feeding the government money. Why do I do this to myself? I don't know. Conditioning. But, you know, I wanted to find a more natural, holistic approach to treating these, you know, so-called ills. I didn't want to block off my feelings. I didn't want to feel numb. Instead, I found, you know, behaviors I could alter and ways of thinking I could alter just to treat that and not suppress it, but, you know, lessen the negative effects of it. And it works for me because I can function day to day and not feel intense rage and things like that. And if I do, I deal with it in a way that is constructive, not just numbing it and band-aiding it and trying to ignore it. Because I know the problem of the core of these problems is my anger comes from shit that went wrong that I didn't anticipate would go wrong. And, you know, my body and my brain's just trying to adapt and figure out what the fuck happened. Essentially, that's what it is. They say that a shitload of anger comes from grief, or grief comes from anger, vice versa. And it's true, because, you know, things like betrayal can be fucking life-threatening at times, depending on how resilient you are to the experiences. Me being given the ultimatum by my ex-husband that I would have to have an open marriage, that would have killed someone. It would have, because they would have already been teetering on the edge of maybe suicide or something like that, or maybe they had a drug addiction predisposition to something like that. Maybe their band-aid solution would have been to take a shitload of drugs to compensate for these horrible experiences, things like that. Me, instead, I have not got any addictions besides sugar and pre-workout, possibly. Instead, I signed up to the gym. Like, how can I deal with this situation? I know I'm going to go down if I succumb to this, if I let it win. In, you know, like never-ending story terms, if I let the darkness win, then surely I'm going to go down spiraling. I'm not going to let that prick win, because it would have been, you know, in a petty kind of way, I said to myself, this is what my ex-husband wants. He wants me to fail because it means that he's won and he's right. And I'm sitting there going, oh, I'm not going to let that happen. Instead, I'm going to sign up to the gym, going to get my shit together, get myself out of debt, and I'm just going to keep going and fuck this experience, because it's a learning experience. I've got to learn some new skills and I'm going to get on with it. I am not going to succumb to this dumb fuckery. It's not my dumb fuckery to own. It's his. He fucked up. Fuck him. Keep walking. It's like, that's not me. That's not my problem. I didn't hand someone an ultimatum that I could never, you know, deal with. It was insane. It was such an insane experience given our history that I couldn't fathom. I couldn't even take ownership of it, because it's something that I would never do to someone. I would never have handed someone the same ultimatum. I've never handed someone an ultimatum, to be honest. That sounds like a bastard thing to do. But the fact that he was willing to do it, he'd already decided what the situation was going to be. And I should have been grateful at the time for the clarity, because it showed me who he was, what he wanted, what his priorities were, and how selfish a prick he was. That was a lesson in itself, that not everyone, even the closest people, the people that you've let physically inside you several times over, that you've let get that fucking close to you, not everyone has your best interests at heart, and some people are just selfish cunts. Excuse my French. It's not French, it's English actually. I think it's Elizabethan. Elizabethan? Fuck is an Elizabethan word. I love that word. Anyway, history lesson over. Now, gratitude. Be grateful for what you're surrounded by, because everything is a learning experience, obviously. From the day you are conceived and you step out of your mum's hoo-ha. And we're trying not to remember that because that's very Freudian and I don't want to go there. Let's just be grateful for what we're given, because some people aren't given everything. It's like when I talk about materialism, I've done a podcast on materialism, people are driven these days to chase the coin. The coin isn't going to make you happy. I've been listening to Andrew Tate podcast. I shouldn't have. I saw it on a reel on YouTube and I went, oh, that's funny. And I followed that rabbit hole and I'm going, I shouldn't be listening to this. Because some of the shit he's saying makes sense. And I'm going, oh, fuck. Now, is it making sense because he reminds me of my ex-husband, or because I've been enriched in this area and atmosphere and I've taken on these traits as normative? Or is it a case of he might actually have some merit there? I don't know, but I'm watching what people are saying about him on both sides of the equation there. I'm going, some parts of him are right and some parts of him are very wrong. People trafficking, probably the wrong side, right? Unless the social context was different. We were a couple of centuries earlier than this one. Then it's just normal. No, it's wrong. Having, coming from a culture where my people were also enslaved, we just didn't demand compensation or anything for it. Did we? I don't know. Go back and look at Celt culture. We all got fucked. It wasn't just a case of ethnicity there. You still had white on white slavery. It's just we don't talk about it because it's not recent. Or technically, yes, even in London you still get slavery, but it's more like they take it from Albanian countries and integrate it into... Anyway, there's a whole bunch of documentaries on YouTube if you want to watch that. There's also one on Netflix, I think. I was watching some weird shit about people trafficking. Anyway, I go on tangents and rabbit holes with my YouTube ventures. I'm hesitating to go into the dark web. I don't want to know what's there. Quite frankly, I'm like, I don't like this idea. It sounds very shady. So I was watching this Andrew Tate stuff. God damn it. Oh, why did I do it? But he's making points about stuff like, not materialism, because he is honestly, he's after the coin. His thing is, if I get the money, I get the power. It's like, you don't get the power. You still have to share it with a bunch of other people doing the exact same fucking thing, and they're going to treat you like shit for being an outsider because you weren't born into it. You made it yourself. If you look at the, is it Rosenthals? No. Who's those rich people that are in America that were Jewish, but they didn't get included? What was it, England? America or England? I think they own like Harrods or something like that, but not the Al-Fayeds. It was something like that. Rothschilds. They made their money, but they weren't born into it, so they still had trouble climbing social scale, social status. Even though they were legit, they had the same amount, they did the same things as all the other people. They were trying their damnedest to fit in with these rich-ass people that were born into it, who had a legacy of it. Old money, as it's called. But they never quite fit in because they didn't exactly have the exact same either means of getting the money or the same belief systems. At the time, it's very bigoted. I don't like that whole shit. It's like you don't fit in unless you're exactly like us. I don't like that. Which is why I never condone social climbing. It's bullshit. It's a game. It's just another form of othering. You could have billions of dollars and still not fit in. It doesn't make sense. Which is why I'm saying look for genuine people. But I think Andrew Tate's doing the same things. If I get all the money, then it's going to be okay. It's not going to be okay because you didn't get it legitimately the same way the people with the power or whatever did. People who have real money and power aren't public figures. They are sitting in the background pulling strings. That's a given. He's sitting there, and because he's stuck his head above the trenches and given himself a public persona, he's not going to be able to fit in with people that are pulling strings behind the curtain. He's not the Wizard of Oz. I feel sorry for him because he was so optimistic about it. He's saying, if I just manifest, it'll be okay. But no, it's those people behind the curtain that are going to put you in a Romanian jail because you're not doing what they're doing. I don't think he's quite figured that out. But I think all that stems from that girl rejecting him. I'm looking, because I found a video of him, a blonde girl, and I don't know if he's done some reality TV or something like that. I think he has some Big Brother crap. I don't know why they sign up to this. It's just shattering for the ego and mindset. publicly as well. It's not like a private thing either. They put it on TV and it's entertainment, watching people get emotionally ripped apart, and you're sitting there going, why the fuck does this exist? I don't know. It's insanely bad for everyone, and we're all assholes for watching it and applauding it. But you know, it's kind of like when the Romans, and we do keep going back to the Romans, when they used to have gladiators fighting, but they weren't really fighting, they were unarmed and fighting lions and shit, and they're like, hey, are you favored by the gods? Fuck it, let's test this. Here's a bear. You know? It's the same. That's how I see Big Brother. I don't see... I mean, you could look at it from a sociological point of view, looking at how people interact from different cultures and standpoints and viewpoints, and you go, oh, okay, so this is interesting. This is how this would happen if this occurred. But to be honest, in terms of ego surfing, things like that, it's ripping people apart, because it finds their insecurities and it emphasizes them, not only because you're interacting with people who are a shitload of personalities and divas in themselves, but they're also, it's on a public platform. It's not a case of we're learning in private. And in this particular scenario I saw, it was a blonde girl, and she looked like a bitch, to be honest. I'm sitting there going, I don't know how you didn't peg that in the first place. She was a bitch. And she said something how, like, he was too skinny or something, or he had no money, or something like that. Something horrible that a bitchy, popular girl would have said. You know, the most generic shit. And he only looked about 18 himself. I'm sitting there going, it was that point that crushed him. And you could see on his face and on the inside of him that his soul died a bit there, because she rejected him. But she rejected him in such a way that it was soul crushing. And I felt it. And I'm sitting there going, you bastard, why would you say that to him? And I'm not particularly partial to this guy, because I'm looking at what he's doing as a, you know, nearly 40-year-old male. And I'm saying, well, this is fucking toxic. Because this is not clean at all. This is a shitload of, you know, learnt behaviors and posturing and this toxic masculinity for the most part. There are some parts where you go, oh, okay, that makes sense. But from a female standpoint, obviously. But, you know, there are parts where it's just like... It doesn't make sense. Why are you doing that? But you can pinpoint the point where he got crushed, and crushed enough. I mean, I don't know how many more experiences he had like this with these people interacting with these girls that he supposedly liked, I think. And you know, you sit there and think, why would you be that cruel to make someone do that? It was a jump-off point for him to develop himself into something bigger. If he was motivated by money, he now has seemingly a lot of money, if it's not completely fake. If that's what you wanted, then you got it, I suppose. I don't think it makes you a better human being, because it just means you've got more crap. So, you know, but then again, I'm not materialistic. I'm looking at people with money and I'm sitting there going, you bastards, you're not even using it properly. Because they're not helping people, they're just hoarding it for a show. And it's like, it's more of a case of, like, these people that accumulate money and wealth and status, it's just hoarding shit, and they're being given the value of saying that these people are better than us because they've got the money and status. Not that they're handing back and helping other people get, you know, a more level way of doing things, or stopping them starving or freezing to death and stuff like that. I don't know what that feedback loop is. It's like poor people will deify rich people, but, you know, be surprised when they don't hand back. It's like, if they hand back, then they lose their status, don't they? It's a very topsy-turvy way of dealing with it. It's like, I want these people to be important, but I also need help, and they won't help me, so really they're bastards. So, you know, it's a weird loop. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get to this status. Honestly, I think I would just hand money around. I'd buy more infrastructure, because I know people are getting sick and stuff like that. I don't know. It's something I'll have to approach if I ever get to it. Doubt I'll ever get to it, but, you know. But you've got to be grateful. And the question is he, as a particular person, being grateful for what he's been given? Or is he just saying, I feel better than everyone else, I've got a superiority complex, and so because I have all this money now, I am proving that I have a superiority complex. You're not proving that you're superior. I know that he came from a pretty rough background like I did. He didn't come from money. I don't know what his family dynamics were. He seems to be getting along with his mum and maybe his dad, I don't know. His mum looks adorable, I will say that, but she's a tiny little woman. I'm going, how did he get out of that? It's like a Chinese finger trap. You're too big, get back out. But she's adorable. But I don't know what's going on with that one, or maybe he's chasing something his dad put in him. It's like trying to please your dad, and then he's saying things like, my dad legacy lives through me because I do everything in the Tate name. And I'm sitting there going, first of all, you're your own person. You have no identity because you're chasing your dad's legacy. Have you not developed your own? And then he's saying his son or his kid or whoever comes after him will pass that on. I'm sitting there going, you're not being grateful for the experience you were given for you. Your dad had his own life journey to follow. You need to worry about you, what you're doing with your money and what your experiences. Stop worrying about him. He had his chance. He's done. I'm not sure if he's still alive. I know he possibly loved his dad, maybe. Some people have got that relationship with their kids. I look at my dad and it's more like an anti-role model. I'm sitting there going, I don't want to do that. I want to be better than that. I can outdo that. So you've got to be grateful for what situations you've been given firsthand. But at the same time, it's like, use it properly. If you're given extra resources above what seems to be the normal, average access that most people have, you have been given a chance. You've been given a platform to do something with it. If you just stroke your own ego, you're fucked. It will fall. It's like Babylon, you know? I haven't watched that movie though, I don't want to. It looks like shit. I think it did badly at cinemas as well. Tangents. But that's how Babylon felt. It got too luxurious, too pumped up its own, divineness. It did start off as a divine kingdom. It was blessed with lands and hanging gardens and a lot of trade and gold and all these kinds of things, beautiful things. But it got so full of its own arse that it failed. It fell. Too arrogant, too pumped up, too based on convenience and making themselves look good without actually having the substance or remembering the ways they got that way, that it just fucking fell. I can foresee China doing the same thing, to be honest, because they're all pumped up and scraped over too much bread at this point, spreading themselves out too far. Eventually there's not enough butter to make that shit go down. If that makes sense as a metaphor, I don't know. It's Thursday, I've had a shitload of coffee. Anyway, so, it's weird historical metaphors. I'm going to leave it there because I really do need to go into work. I'm hoping you have a fantastic Thursday. I'm going to try and do another one on the way home. I don't know how we're going to go with that. I might be exhausted. I might not do another one. I'm hoping you have a fantastic Thursday. I'm going to leave it there. Remember, we've got to be grateful for whatever we're giving. Giving and given. To be honest, everything in our surrounds is designed to teach. You're given the tools by the universe. Figure it out. And I say that on such a whim, right? It's like, I'll just stuck here and figure it out. But look at what everyone's done in the past. Is it the same lesson that needs to be passed on? Are you building for yourself? Are you building for the future? Are these reflecting your internal alignment? Is it the right thing to do? And don't look at the context around you saying, everybody's doing this, so I should do this. Because there's a lot of shit that goes down that everybody just does because everybody else is doing it. I want you to actually look at your internal alignment. Does this feel right? For example, slavery at a time, for a long time, was deemed right thing to do socially. It doesn't mean it felt right at the time. There were a lot of people that kicked against it, obviously, because it is a fucking wrong thing to do. And besides the fact that things change, even things that are deemed socially right are still changeable. They change. I want you to check that your in alignment works well. Don't just do it because everybody's doing it. I foresee things like alcohol going out of fashion. Vaping's going to go out of fashion pretty fucking fast because it's ridiculous. Even though everybody's doing it's popular at the time, it will go out of fashion because, first of all, it's fucking expensive, and second of all, it's causing harm. Smoking is coming out of line. No one's really doing that anymore. That's what the whole point in vaping was, is to transition away from it. People just get fed up of shit that doesn't feel right anymore, so they lose it. I'm looking for these mullets to disappear again because I fucking hate those. I'm going, why did that come back? Didn't you learn the lesson the first time? It was horrible the first time. Mustaches and mullets, you fucking Magnum PI assholes. Anyway, I like the guy from Magnum PI. I don't know why they did that. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a fantastic Thursday. Take it easy, and I'll chat to you on the way back, hopefully.